Welcome to Omaha, Nebraska, home of the Men's College World Series for baseball, and we're huge baseball fans, so we were really excited when our path was going to bring us through Omaha just by chance while the World Series was going on. So when we saw that was an opportunity to take in some games, we called up our son and his girlfriend, and they were able to fly up and meet us and stay with us for a few days and enjoy the World Series. We also got to go to the Omaha Zoo, which was really fun. Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Stacy.
I'm Tom, and we're RV Texas, y'all.
We are native Texans and full-time RVers who are all about exploring the great state of Texas and beyond, one campground at a time. We're on a mission to experience life, not just live it, and we're bringing you along for the fun.
2018, we sold our house, our business, and got rid of most everything we owned to hit the road and see America. Our home is a 33-foot RV named Freedom. We installed an extreme solar and lithium setup, so now we can just about live anywhere with our dog Star and our cat Astro.
Every day is a new adventure, so join us as we RV America, y'all. So this has been our base camp during our stay here in Omaha. This is West Omaha KOA. It is right off of Interstate 80, just a couple of miles, and very clean, very nice people. This is site number 33. It is a 50 amp full hookup site, and yeah, I mean, look at the shade that we have in this site. This has been tremendous. We also have a nice patio with a fire pit, a table, and some chairs. And we're next to all of the amenities. So they have mini golf course, the dog park, the swimming pool are all right here. Now, we do back up to a road. So you do hear road noise from here when you're outside, but inside and at night, it's been really fine for us. We've really enjoyed this spot. We've listened to the birds, we've watched the bunnies, and we're about 30 minutes from the ballpark, the zoo, and everything else in Omaha, and also the airport. So picking them up and dropping them off from the airport was really easy, about 30 minutes from here. We're about to get back on Interstate 80 and head further west. So yeah, thanks West Omaha KOA. This has been a great little stop. So this is actually the place that drew us to Kearney, Nebraska. When we were looking at our route, kind of figuring out where we were going this year, we were looking along I-80 and we noticed we could see this archway behind us on Google Maps. And we're like, what the heck is that that's going over I-80? And so we zoomed in, and it is the Archway Museum for the Great Platte River Road. Sorry, had to get that right. So today we're here, we're excited, we're staying just down the street for several days, and we're gonna go check out the museum here in the Archway. Let's go. We just finished the tour of the Archway Museum, and I'm here to tell y'all this is a must-do. That was absolutely amazing. When you pay for your ticket, they give each one of you an audio tour, and as you go through, There's some that will start automatically, and then there are others that if you want information, you can type in the number and hear the story. We listened to every story, and they were all incredible. It adds so much to the tour. Definitely recommend putting aside a good amount of time to really spend time in the museum, and these are awesome.
Okay, now what I wanted to add here is there is a bunch of parking for RVs, cars, everything. So if you're traveling in your RV, you can stop, and it's worth spending time. You need a good hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours here, but it's worth the stop. You can stop, and once you've seen it, if you're going west on I-80, you're gonna go right under it. You haven't passed it up. Actually, you're supposed to take the exit right past it.
And we'll put that exit number across here.
Right, and you can come back to it, and
it's a very RV friendly route going that way.
yes.
So not a problem. Do not pass by this place without stopping and coming in and visiting the museum.
Oh, incredible. I mean, it's one of the best museums I've ever been to, and I learned a ton. I mean, a lot of it we probably learned in history, but we were young and hardly paid attention to it, but this is really incredible. I mean, really incredible. I'm thankful we found this place, and I mean, wow. And this town, we can't wait to explore more in this town, because this town is, they said it's the exact halfway point between Boston and San Francisco.
Right.
1,733 miles each way.
That's what they say.
So that it's Kearney?
Kearney, Nebraska.
Pronounced Kearney, Nebraska. Yeah, and it looks like Kearney is the way it is, but it is pronounced Kearney. So, wow. Yeah, make some time. Come here, and there's an RV park that we're staying at.
Kearney RV Park.
Yeah, Kearney RV Park, and we'll kind of give you more later on in this video about that, because that's been a great place to stop.
Yeah, so let's get on and see more. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So being here in Pioneer Country, we had to come out to Fort Kearny State Historical Park, and this is actually pretty much the area of the park, or of the fort, but the fort was totally destroyed back in the day, and they turned it into a homesteader area. But there's some replica, like you see, that may be like a wagon you would have seen coming through here in the day, and then there's a replica building over here that we're going to go see. It's really a neat area. We got to see a movie and stuff all about it, and it's named Fort Kearny after Kearny. Was he a colonel or whatever in the military, and he was the one that was sent down here to start this. So the area now is Kearney, Nebraska, but back in the day they called it Fort Kearny, this whole area.
So there are several major historic trails that come through this area, and one of those being the Mormon Trail. And back in the 1800s, the Mormons were looking to flee Illinois, where they were receiving, I guess, some religious persecution, and traveled the 1,300 plus miles by foot to Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, what was different from what we've seen so far in the museums, different about the folks traveling the Mormon Trail versus, say, the 49ers who were going to look for gold, or the folks on the Oregon Trail, for example, or the folks going to California Trail, was that back in the day, the folks traveling the Mormon Trail couldn't really afford covered wagons and things. So they would load up what they could with hand carts, and they would walk the 1,300 miles pulling or pushing the hand carts with them to carry their possessions as they came. This plaque here says that they could travel from Iowa City to Salt Lake City, 1,300 miles by foot with their hand carts in an average of 125 days. That is pretty amazing.
Okay, to update a little bit of what I said earlier, it was General Stephen Watts Kearney, and they renamed the fort after it actually started out being called Fort Childs at the very beginning, but then renamed General Stephen Watts Kearney, excuse me. And if you're wondering, why did they need the fort? Well, of course, the Indians and stuff were around, but really they needed it to just help the pioneers. I mean, so many pioneers were coming across, and this was a place that all these trails pretty much came together and kept going west. And so this was a place they could kind of retool or you know, just get their bearings and stuff, because this was treacherous land, and there were Indians and stuff. But when we were kids and stuff, you pretty much thought that the Indians were just constantly attacking the pioneers. But upon further review, from what we learned earlier today, that the Indians were pretty much friendly to a lot of the pioneers. That wasn't their number one thing to worry about. Their number one thing to worry about was just the treacherous conditions and making a wrong turn, going off path, the weather. That many of the pioneers that they have letters and stuff from said that the Indians were actually very nice and graceful to them. So there were wars later on that with the Indians. I think this states the wars were in the 64 to 65, where the U.S. government was, they built a small stockade here at the fort, but it never got attacked. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, this was a little safe haven, a place that they could come to and maybe get some food and shelter and, you know, just kind of get ready for their next thing on their journey. And wow, I mean, it's just, to me, crazy to think. I mean, we're kind of like, back in the day, you know, here we are as nomads. They called some of these pioneers nomads back in the day, because they were just going out for a better life, for freedom, you know. Yeah, very interesting. We have it a heck of a lot easier. That's for sure. Boy, back in the day, these folks really risked everything for a better life. That's pretty cool.
So one of the main features here at Fort Kearny State Historic Site is they've recreated the powder magazine as it would have appeared in 1864 when it was built. Before that, the fort didn't have a powder magazine, apparently, and there weren't a lot of reasons to have a lot of artillery and things. It was mostly, like Tom said, a stop-off point for folks traveling the various trails for them to resupply and things. But in 1864, obviously the Civil War is going on. The Native Americans are getting upset that there's more and more pioneers coming out their way and kind of taking over their land. So Indian hostilities between the pioneers and the Indians are picking up. And so they added a powder magazine, and Fort Kearny became more of a protective fort at that point. But they built it underground. They built up an earthen layer around the powder magazine so that if something were to go wrong, it would not cause a catastrophic event here at the fort. It would blow the earth, but would protect everything around it. That's pretty smart. So we had the recommendation to come to Thunderhead Brewing Company for their pizza and beer, and yeah, it's amazing. You definitely got to come here when you're in Kearney, Nebraska. And we not only enjoyed a meal, but we're restocking the fridge. Awesome stuff, and really nice people. So while we're staying in Kearney, Nebraska, we took a short road trip about 20 miles to Minden, Nebraska, to see a site that some of our subscribers have suggested we see. This is Pioneer Village. It's been a historical work in progress since 1953. Wow. So have just barely started our tour here at Pioneer Village. And this is an 1830s Conestoga wagon. This is what a lot of the pioneers would have been traveling on as they moved through this area. Pretty amazing. I'm loving this. So if you visited Yellowstone National Park between 1880 and 1916, you would have taken a tour of the park in one of these wagons. And it costs $40 for a 5-day tour through the park on these wagons with lodging and meals as well included. That's awesome.
Guys, what a little gem this is. Should be in the Motorhome Hall of Fame, really, but no, it's here at the Pioneer Museum because they visited in this motorhome. This is a handmade motorhome. It's on a 1939 truck frame, and it was actually, I guess, finished in the early 50s because in 1953, Wendell Turner is the one that put it together. Him and his wife started traveling the country in this thing. And yes, it's a gasoline engine. It's got dump tanks. It's got fresh water tanks. It's got propane. I mean, it was way ahead of its time. Basically, it was built about 20 years before Bob Tiffin or Newmar even started. This is crazy. This thing, it traveled America, just like you see it. They just built a house, and if you look inside, if you saw inside it, we got up there and you could see inside of it, it looks just like a motorhome, an early model motorhome. Really cool.
So if you saw our Blanco, Texas video, then you know we really enjoyed the Buggy Barn Museum there in Blanco, which was fantastic and a huge collection of antique buggies and carriages. Here at Pioneer Village, they also have a lot of buggies and carriages. Really, really interesting. This is a place you got to come and plan to spend some time. We've been here 5 hours or we've been here 4 hours at this point. We have about 45 minutes before it closes. We're not even done. There's so much to see here. You really have to take your time and look in every building. Amazing. just when we think we've seen everything this collection has to offer, but wait, there's more. It's amazing.
Wow.
Holy cow.
We just showed you a little bit of this museum, but this is incredible. And here's one thing we found out at the end. There's no duplicates in this place.
Everything in here is unique, and it is one man's collection.
Yeah, and one of everything. No duplicates, and oh my God. To me, there's like 5, 6, 7 different museums in one here.
This is a full day.
Yes.
Plan a full day to come and visit this place so you can take your time and you can read the signs and you can see everything there is to see. And if you don't see it all, then they've given a second day for a discounted price. So you can come back on a second day if you want to.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, this is a must visit. It's only about 20 miles from Kearney.
Yeah, if you stay in Kearney, it's a short drive. That's what we did, obviously. And yeah, wow. Another gem. We keep finding gems here in Nebraska.
Oh, I am loving Nebraska.
Oh, I am
But definitely
too.
when you come through, if you're traveling Interstate 80, come south to Minden, Nebraska and Pioneer Village. You will not regret it.
No, not at all. And the kids will love it too. All the cars and the tractors and the trains. Oh yeah, yeah, they're gonna love it.
It's a must do.
Yep.
Kearney, Nebraska. Wow.
Yeah, way above average.
Much more than we expected.
Oh yeah, it's well worth the stop. Coming through Nebraska, believe me, there's a lot of unbelievable history here. Well worth your time. I'd stay a few days if you can, at least. And right here, this place where we stayed, I think is a great location to go see all this stuff.
Kearney RV Park. It's right off of Interstate 80. Easy in and out. It's good for big rigs. Pull-through sites, 30, 50 amp, full hookup. It's family operated. I mean, and well-maintained, super clean, and easy to get to anything you want to explore in the area. We will definitely stay here again next time we're in the area. But yeah, we had 4 nights here and we didn't even cover everything we discovered in the area.
We're looking forward to coming back. And I wanted to mention about Pioneer Village that we showed. If you go to it, which we strongly recommend, don't judge a book by its cover. They are redoing that whole area around there because Harold Warp, the founder, he founded it back in 1953. He was 50 years old. It's his personal collection.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, but you know, he passed away in the early 90s. And so since then, you know, it's kind of tough as it gets, you know, probably caught in the courts and everything else. And so they are restoring it now. The town is behind it. And they've got a new preservation committee or whatever that's working on it. The inside is in almost perfect condition. I mean, as far as the exhibits, it's unbelievable. The outside looks like, what?
It needs a little work.
It needs some work. It's going to take a little bit of time. The pickers were there this spring, the American pickers, and they bought a few things just to give them a little money to help them restore it.
But the whole time we were walking through it, we went, oh my gosh, this is a place that they would love to come to, because the collection is unbelievable and definitely worth a stop.
The best collection of all this stuff I've ever seen,
I'd like to talk a bit about Fort Kearny State Historic Site. We showed you a little bit about that. That is also a work in progress from what we understand. There's not a ton to see at the historic site at the moment. They have a really nice little museum, a movie. They've got a few buildings that they've reconstructed because, of course, all of that was gone. But from what we understand, they're working on reconstructing more of the sites in the future. And what we didn't mention when we covered that portion of the video was our entry, our day use entry into Fort Kearny State Historic Site. It cost us $12 as non-Nebraska residents to go in for the day. That covered both of us. It's by the vehicle. But that also got us entry into any other Nebraska state park until noon the next day. And there is Fort Kearny State Recreation Area, which is a camping state park a mile down the road from the State Historic Site. So we were able to drive in on the same pass and take a tour of the state park. It is a great little park, lots of trees and fishing areas. It looks like some hiking and biking. I don't know that we would go in with our bigger rig, but for smaller campers, I think it's a great option.
Absolutely. It had hiking. It actually had frisbee golf and stuff.
So maybe if you go to the State Historic Site, even if you're not going to camp in the recreation area, maybe while your pass is still good, you go over there and maybe do a little hiking or play some disc golf, maybe do a little fishing or something like that.
Yep.
So I really like that we could use the pass for both locations.
Absolutely.
Archway, though, you have got to see the Archway Museum. That is where to start, because they also have the Nebraska Welcome Center inside with a plethora of information, and yes, I said plethora, about all of Nebraska. Things we didn't get to while we were here: there's a firefighter museum in town, there's a train museum in town, a car museum, there's a couple of community museums. And not far away, in another town, there's a historical site. It looks like that's where they kept German prisoners of war during World War II, and we just ran out of time to be able to see that all. So we definitely want to come back. Now, this is our campsite here at Kearney RV Park. This is site number 119. It is a 30 and 50 amp full hookup site. The roads in the park are gravel, but they have been grading them. It looks like they probably grate them on a continual basis. We saw them do it on Sunday while we were here. And then the parking pad, actually, if you can look at our neighbors, they just pulled out. The parking pad in each one of these is concrete, and it is the proper distance for a tag axle motorhome or a large fifth wheel to completely fit on the pad without a problem. Services have been great. We've got a little grass between us and our neighbors. Not all of the sites have that, but we've really enjoyed that. We've got an area to set the chairs out. We've got a picnic table, which you can't see on the other side of the bikes there. This has been a phenomenal stop. We have really enjoyed it, and we will absolutely 100% plan to come back here in the future. So we hope you've enjoyed this video. We'd love to hear your thoughts on more things we should see and do in Nebraska, either on this trip or on a future one. So make sure you leave us a comment with your thoughts and your suggestions on that, because I can definitely see us spending more time here. Until next time, y'all, safe travels and happy camping. Bye.